It's time to lock up your grandmothers in the air raid shelter and ration your chocolate because we're doing Medal of Honor Frontline on the PS2.
Stay with me!
This is a crash course for you to get you off the beach. It's pretty confusing. You literally get thrown in at the deep end. And there's going to be a few tips here just to help you through it. The real trick with this is to listen to what's going on around you. There's a lot of shells going off, there's a lot of machine gun fire, and people do tend to panic, okay? So listen to what's being said, and you shouldn't go too far wrong.
All over the beach. 4 of our boys over there. Help them move up the beach to the seawall. Get it! I'll give you some covering fire. Now move out!
So the first thing you've got to do is look around, all right? There's a lot of stuff going on, guys getting shot everywhere, and you're looking for guys who are cowering. Here we go, here's a guy, he's in a shell hole.
Hey, give me some covering fire!
Now, you've got shells going off, which actually throws your aim off, but try and get a few rounds off into the machine gun bunkers. There you go, he's gone. Off he goes. Hope he makes it. Again, always worth going back to the shoreline here, because a lot of health gets washed up on the beach. You've got medical canteens, ammo, and all sorts down here. So well worth going back. Don't just charge straight up the beach. That's him saved. He's off. Good lad. But you can, oh, look out. I think he's just got shot by a plane going over. That's not good. There should be one more, I think. Cowering somewhere. There he is, calling to you. He's gone. Right, and then you head up to the beach, join your captain, who will give you your next mission. Okay, if you follow these tips, you'll see how we won the war.
All consoles, all formats, all systems, offline and online. I'm Violet Berlin, and this is Gamepad. But this is Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2 on the Xbox, like it says on the caption. Here at Gamepad, we have long discussions over things like captions, you know. Should we name all the formats that the game's released on, or just the format we've reviewed it on? This game made us particularly pleased that we do the latter. Pursuit 2 is jostling for road space on all formats, and we've driven them all. But although they were all a blast, only one version was supercar class. Seems odd, but it's not. It turns out that different developers have worked on the different versions, so although they're essentially the same game, here's a warning sign that they're not. There's absolutely nothing hard to grasp about the principles of the Need for Speed franchise. Choose your car, unsurprisingly there aren't any lagers in there, and then drive. As fast as you can. You don't need to have driven a mid-engined aluminium chassised lightweight sports car to know that this doesn't handle like the real thing. Heck, you don't even need to have got your licence to know that, but then this is a game, not a simulation. It's also a very old-fashioned type of game. There's no overall story as to why you're in a particular situation trying to outrun the law or racing other cars. You just are. Sometimes it's clear that you've stolen the car, which is why the police are in pursuit. But sometimes you're fine and legal as long as you slow down to within the speed limit when there's a patrol close by. In one mode, you can even be the police, although I'd say this was the least satisfying part of the game. Great idea, but not very well implemented, as the climax of the chase is undramatic. Overall, Need for Speed on the Xbox does what it says in the caption. With all this speed and pursuit...
This is way too dangerous. I'm discontinuing pursuit.
What's not to like? However, going back to what I was saying earlier, this Xbox version isn't the best of the bunch. Lots of small differences in gameplay mean the car leading this particular race is on the PS2. Next time on Gamepad, 3 reviews of Time Splitters 2, one for each format.
Nikolai, the lights! Stupid torch. Does nothing in this army work.
You don't think we're taking this review lark a bit too seriously, do you? And Namco have struck with the latest conversion of their seminal fighting game series from the arcade, Tekken 4. But is the series on its last legs? Or does it feel as young and beautiful as ever? We'll let you know. Plus, the Xbox goes live with a handy gadget.
Which will allow you to talk to your friends, which brings all of the Xboxes in the world together in the most exciting arena ever created for gamers.
Microsoft's new broadband service is determined to bring fat pipe gaming to the masses, and in a big way. We'll tell you all about what you need, what you'll be able to play, what's in planning, and what on earth's the deal with these communicator-style headsets. And why you might want to use one to disguise your voice. That's next time on Gamepad. To play you out now, here's some eye candy from one of those review games, Tekken 4. I was Violet Berlin, and you're now free to go. You can stay if you want.
An uncompromising look at the war on crime.
Back off, otherwise you're going to be gassed.
Brick Cops Frontline Crime, Monday at 10, exclusive to Bravo.
Welcome to Spy School, the show that lifts the lid on the techniques of the world's most secret intelligence agencies.
Yes, from losing a tail to recruiting a double agent, Spy School has everything you need to know.
And I'm here to make sure these two are up to the job. My name's David Shaler. I used to work for British intelligence. Coming up, Lorna and Julian tackle code breaking as they attempt to unlock the secrets of the infamous Enigma machine. More deadly moves in Spy Hard, our guide to martial arts, and more revelations from renegade MI6 agent Richard Tomlinson.
Now, every half-decent spy can recognise a code when he sees one, but cracking it is a very different matter.
British code breakers are based at GCHQ in Cheltenham. Originally, this was called the Government Code and Cipher School, and they were all trained up on the kind of codes that we're going to have to tackle ourselves.
To be a skilled code breaker, you need to be fiercely analytical and lateral-minded. You also need plenty of patience before you can hope to come up with that big breakthrough. The expert I'm putting Lorna and Julian in touch with is Simon Singh, a world-leading authority on code breaking. He even owns his own Enigma machine worth £20,000.
Now, Simon placed an ad in the Daily Telegraph which was in code. So the first thing we did was buy that and then met up with him.
Still. 20, yeah, here we go.
Bingo.
Roland Gardens.
Okay, Roland Gardens it is.
That's that way.
Is it?
I'm Simon Singh. I write about codes and code breaking. What we're going to do today is have a little masterclass on how to make codes and how to break codes. And that involves me giving you a coded message. In fact, here's the message that I want you to try and break. I've encrypted it using this thing here. This is an Enigma machine, an Enigma cipher machine. It was used by the Germans in the Second World War. Now, what's clever about it is you type a letter, say P, the letter C has lit up here. Type in a letter P again, and the V has lit up. To crack this message, you've got to find the right rotor positions for these 3 rotors. Each rotor's got a number. With 26 numbers for each rotor, 3 rotors, that's 26 cubed, which is something like 17,000 permutations. In fact, this machine's far worse because down here is a plug board. Now, this has got 100 million combinations. I won't go into the details of that, but to make life easier, I'm going to give you those positions. Those are unchanged. To work out these 3 positions, I'm going to give you 3 more coded messages. Each time you crack one of those coded messages, it'll tell you the number for each of these rotors. Reset those rotors to those 3 positions, type in that message, and you'll be able to decode it, okay? So to get the first setting for the Enigma machine, I've encoded a message using this, which is the world's oldest cryptographic device. It's called a Scutari, and it was invented by the Spartans. Now, the way it works is you get a leather strip and you wind it round a cylindrical object, such as this one here. Then you write the message along it like that, okay? You can see there's letters on this one already, but the letters don't make sense because I'm winding it around an object of the wrong diameter. So you've got to find an object of the right diameter, wind this round it, and the message will become transparent.
That's not it.
We know it starts with the L, so it's got to go to the vowel now. It doesn't. So that's not it. It's not looking good already. LTA.
No.
It's nowhere. LE. It's a good start. LEF.
This has got to be it.
We've got it here.
What does it say?
It says left rotor of Enigma.
Yep.
15. Is that it?
That's it.
15.
So the left rotor position is 15. I mean, do you want to just set it? This one here.
Yeah, right.
There we go. Position 15. Excellent. Right. So you've got
down.
the first rotor position, third of the way there. To crack the next code, here we go. This is the newspaper that brought you here in the first place. Below the address was a little coded message, which may have caught your eye.
Yeah.
Crack that, and you get the second rotor position.
Just like that.
Just like that.
When an assailant confronts an agent with an edge weapon or a gun, he needs to be able to defend himself. Husband and wife team Alwyn and Sue Dixon teach us the best way of using the Israeli self-defense system Krav Maga in Spy Hard.
Krav Maga is the official system of fighting skills of the Israeli Defense Forces. It is used by all the warriors in Israel and by their security services. And because it is so effective and proven to work, it's been adopted by some 100 law enforcement agencies around the world. Defences against edge weapons, not as difficult as it may seem. The answer is obviously not to get stabbed and not to get cut. Defend early, counter-attack early. Here we'll show a couple of examples, a downward stab, a slashing stab and a running attacker. If you're being held at gunpoint and the gun is at your back, then the release is quite simple.
Coming up later in the show, spying in the Second World War with a special operations executive. And we'll be talking to ex-codebreaker Michael Smith about his service with the Army Intelligence Corps.
Now on Spy School, Richard Tomlinson, an ex-spy and whistleblower who will be arrested by the British government when he returns to British soil. He made these tapes exclusively for us while in exile in France. Here he tells us the story of the case of the corrupt agent who tried to steal money from MI6 in the Paris case.
The most important aspect of an intelligence officer's work is the art of writing CX reports, which are essentially a brief and succinct synopsis of the information that an informant is given about a particular topic, that is accurate and precise and does not deviate from the truth. One very famous instance where an intelligence officer wasn't truthful in his reports has gone down in MI6 folklore. The Paris case occurred in the 1980s when a middle-career MI6 officer was sent to Paris to work in the British Embassy in Paris. And there his principal job was to spy against the OECD, the Organisation of Economic Cooperation and Development. And unfortunately he fell into the temptation of inventing an informer, inventing the CX reports that were supposedly coming from this informer, and inventing also the financial demands of this informer. And rather than paying the money to this informer, who was of course fictitious, he was pocketing the money himself. And this process went on for about 6 months. The particular officer was simply reading The Economist magazine, making up the intelligence reports, sending them back to London, and then he was pocketing all the money. Of course, there was a big inquest into this, and the particular officer was dismissed, and I believe they found him a job in the City of London, and he worked his way up there, and he's now one of the most influential and wealthiest figures in the city, a very well-known figure.
Lion Tamer. Lion Tamers are the Secret Service hardmen who are called in to cope with sacked agents who have gone berserk, recruits who are being obstinate, or spies who have double-crossed the agency.
Time now to catch up with Julian and Lorna as they struggle to crack the code of the notorious Nazi Enigma machine.
Right, okay, you've copied out the message, it's a good start. It's encrypted using something called a substitution cipher. I've substituted every letter for a different letter. Your challenge is to work out what letters these really represent. If you get stuck, then tough. Cheerio.
I'm a lovely guy.
This is going to take ages.
A substitution cipher simply substitutes each letter for a different letter or a different symbol. Goes all the way back to 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 years ago. Kama Sutra uses it, the Greeks used it, Caesar used it, everybody uses it.
So R is X. No. Help me!
The way you crack a substitution cipher is that, let's say you substitute the letter E with the letter Z. Z takes on all the attributes of the letter E, such as E being the most common letter in English, while in the cipher text, the encoded message, Z will be the most common letter because, as I say, Z takes on all the qualities of the letter E, and that's how you crack the code. Know the qualities of certain letters and match them to the letters that appear in the coded message. In overhearing how you're doing it, it sounds like you almost got it. 3 is the setting for the centre wheel. That's all the hard work done. You've got the left wheel, you've got the centre wheel now. There's only one wheel to go.
Coming up, in part 2 of Spy School, we reveal the best ways to sweep a suspect room for bugs. And we open the assassination file on poison gas gun killer Bogdan Stushinsky.
Join Kelly Brook and relive the dream. Love that one! Dirty Dancing, the time of your life, starts Wednesday at 9, exclusive to Living.
Loads more sensitive info still to come on Spy School. David Shayler looks at counter-electronic surveillance methods. And we unravel the secrets of code-breaking with expert Simon Singh.
Now, World War II spying, as we reconstruct from declassified files the work of the Special Operations Executive, Britain's elite force of undercover agents in Hitler's Europe. Here, we look at dropping supplies behind enemy lines.
The arrival of supplies would usually come by air, and it was essential that the SOE agent find an appropriate drop-off point. An open space was needed, away from wooded areas and swamps. On the night of the operation, the SOE team would direct the aircraft using flaming torches.
Stop. Okay, that way's north. Right, men, break out the torches.
Synchronising the drop-off between the pilot and the team on the ground was essential.
Quickly now. Okay, this way. Plant them all in formation, 3 yards apart.
Torches would be lit at the last possible moment to avoid enemy attention, and placed in a pre-arranged formation to allow easy identification from the sky.
Look, there it is. Here she comes now.
The plane would sight the drop-off point and release the supplies at around 500 feet, travelling at about 120 miles per hour.
To get the third setting, they don't have to crack a code as such, they have to solve a problem.
Okay, so the lovely Mr. Singh has given us this huge number, which we've got to find, 65,621. We've got to find out A and B, which together multiplied make that. Any ideas?
Well, what I would do is, firstly, forget about the top half of the number and look at the 21 at the end of it.
Right.
And say what goes into that, because that must be the end of the number.
Not necessarily one of those numbers, though. What it does mean is it's definitely not an even number. It couldn't be divisible by 2 or 4 or 6 or any of them. So they're all out. What do we do? Try and
No, we just divide.
Multiply means I give you 2 numbers, you multiply them together to get a third number. But if I give you the third number and ask you to go backwards and work out the 2 numbers I thought of originally, that's called factoring, going backwards. That's really, really tough. If somebody could find a clever way to factor, they'd be able to crack all modern codes.
God.
Divide by
201.
201 equals nothing.
11.
Oh!
Oh my God.
We got it!
Hallelujah.
What was that?
211.
It's 211. And what's the answer?
311.
Right, so what do you think the rotor setting is? 211, 311. The setting is 11. Yeah.
Now I'm going to take a look at debugging. Remember, this is strictly need to know. Okay, you've managed to arrange a meeting with Colonel Gaddafi in your dining room to discuss terrorism. Now you have a problem. MI5 and MI6 are going to want to know what you're telling the Colonel. In that case, you'll need to make sure that your dining room isn't bugged and information can't be used against you in evidence. Bugs come in all shapes and sizes. They do give off a magnetic field, so they can be detected. Although the microphones are very small, the power packs are often quite large. So if you're looking for bugs, you should look for a power source like a light switch or a light socket, or even an overhead light, or perhaps a telephone. One of the most effective ways of dealing with a bug is simply to do this. As you see, it sounds very difficult to hear what I'm saying. And so anybody who's trying to listen to conversations in your home will have exactly the same problem. If a bug's not transmitting, you won't be able to detect it, even with a commercially available scanner like this. And just to demonstrate, I'll show you. None of the lights come on. But if, of course, you come home and turn on your light to power up the bug, you'll then see that the lights go on, indicating there is a bug. If you take these steps, no matter who you're meeting, the meeting will take place privately and securely.
Nightcrawler. A nightcrawler, sometimes called a talent spotter, is an agent who prowls bars and nightclubs looking for government employees or military personnel who can be compromised using booze, drugs or sex.
Now on Spy School, the Assassination Files investigate the case of the man they called the Cold War Terminator. Bogdan Stashinsky was a KGB assassin who neutralized his targets with a poison gas gun. Considered one of the best killers who ever lived, incredibly he gave it all up for the love of a hairdresser from East Berlin. Soviet Union, 1957. 25-year-old Bogdan Stashinsky was trained to use the latest KGB invention, a spray gun that fired poisoned gas. Stashinsky's first target was exile politician Lev Rebet. Rebet was a Ukrainian nationalist, flag burner, dissident, and enemy of the Soviet secret police. Stashinsky tracked Rebet down to Munich, a known rendezvous point for Ukrainian exiles. Concealing the gun inside a folded newspaper, he waited for his moment. In a busy street, he directed the gun towards his victim's face and detonated the firing cap, rupturing an ampoule of acid that vaporized into poisonous gas. The gas killed within 90 seconds and left Rebet looking as if he'd died from a heart attack. Stashinsky dropped the gun in a nearby canal, walked back to his hotel and awaited orders for his next kill. Stefan Bandera had been a heroic Soviet general in World War II, but was now leader of the Organization of Ukrainian Nationalists, another anti-Soviet activist the KGB decided they could do without. In October 1959, Stashinsky received a phone call with the details of his next hit. Bandera also lived in Munich, and he was to be killed with a similar gas gun. Outside his apartment, as Bandera returned from a shopping trip, Stashinsky struck again. This time, the gun sprayed 2 types of gas, but death was not immediate. Bandera died on the way to hospital, and the cause of death was correctly identified as cyanide poisoning. That was enough for the Cold War Terminator. He wanted out of the killing game. He married, and the couple defected to US officials in Berlin in 1961. He served a short prison sentence for his murders, but was released in 1966. He never killed again.
Michael Smith is one of the country's leading experts in codes and ciphers. He served in the Army Intelligence Corps for over 9 years and is now the defence correspondent for the Daily Telegraph. I met up with him to find out more about code breaking.
So what characteristics would you say you needed to be a good code breaker?
Well, I think you need to be someone who's good at crosswords or jigsaw puzzles. It's that sort of mind that you've got to have. You've got to have this mind where you're looking at various things and you can't see the whole picture. You can see little bits of it all over the place, and you're filling in, if you like, those pieces of the jigsaw.
So how do you become a code breaker? Where are code breakers recruited?
Well, I joined the army, of course, and transferred later into the Intelligence Corps. You can actually join the Intelligence Corps from scratch. But GCHQ now openly advertise for people, and they advertised recently on the internet and put a little competition up there.
As a code breaker, do you understand the context and why you're breaking the codes that you have to break? Because presumably that would make your job a lot easier because, you know, an element of guesswork could be put into play.
On occasion, yes, but generally speaking, no. And that's really an intelligence thing. It's security. It's about security. Everyone works in this little package, where an envelope of their own, where they're kept in isolation from other sources of intelligence.
So what codes are we actually breaking now? What's GCHQ up to at the moment?
Terrorism is a big thing at the moment, obviously, but we break codes and ciphers for anything at all that we need to know the information on, and that can range from economic intelligence through terrorism, through crime. Organised crime is a very, very big thing at the moment. And right up to the traditional things like diplomatic codes and ciphers.
So are we cracking French codes, American codes, you know, essentially our allies' codes?
In the past, we've certainly broken the codes and ciphers of our allies, and indeed, when we were negotiating entry into the common market, EU as it is now, we were listening to the messages that the various people in the various delegations, so we knew what the French delegation were going to say, and we could counter it.
Now back to the code breaking exercise. Julian and Lorna have had to break 3 different codes to work out the rotor settings on the Enigma machine.
Okay, so you've got the 3rd setting, number 11.
Right.
Okay, so the machine is correctly set up now. If you type in the encrypted message, you should get out the original message, so type away.
Go for it. Y.
A.
M.
C.
W.
T.
Q.
I.
T.
O.
K.
N.
I.
T.
we have a message.
Action this day.
Thank you very much.
What does it mean?
This goes back to the Second World War. The British code breakers were cracking the Enigma. They worked at a place called Bletchley Park, about 60 miles or so north of London. But they were struggling for resources. They wanted more manpower. In fact, the majority of the people at Bletchley were women, but they wanted more people, more machinery, more everything. And the bureaucrats were really kind of slowing things down a bit. So the code breakers gang together, they wrote a letter, said what they wanted, sent it straight to Churchill, and he sent back a memo which simply said, action this day. Essentially, give these code breakers whatever they want. They're a crucial service to the war.
Excellent.
So you cracked the Enigma message, and you cracked a few messages along the way, and all in all, I think you've done very well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And not just in case of, okay, you've used some logical skills, but you've also used some persistence, dedication, lateral thinking, intuition, and so on. It really requires a hodgepodge of different skills to be a great code breaker. And I think you've made a good start. So well done.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Enjoyed it.
Are you two a couple? No. This is going to be so much fun.
The UK premiere of Grey's Anatomy Series 4 starts Thursday at 10 on Living.
Welcome to Spy School. James Bond, Ethan Hunt, Napoleon Solo, George Smiley. All fictional charlatans and frauds.
This is your gateway to the real spying game as we reveal the facts about the intelligence services as told to us by the people who used to work for them.
And it all goes on under my watchful eye. My name's David Shaler. I used to work for British intelligence. Coming up, Lorna and Julian investigate the art of bugging with a masterclass in electronic surveillance. Disgraced MI6 officer Richard Tomlinson reveals more details of his life as a Secret Service agent, and World War II espionage tactics with the Special Operations Executive.
Every spy worth his salt needs a thorough knowledge of electronic surveillance, and that's what we'll be looking into now. For example, the telephone is an essential part of modern-day communication, but with the right gadgets, phones are open to serious exploitation.
If someone has valuable information